When describing a running technique, it is generally assumed that the ground surface is hard and level and that the trajectory run is straight. Moreover, because, biomechanically speaking, the difference between running at a constant speed on the one hand or having to start and accelerate on the other hand is enormous, the running speed is taken to be constant when describing a running technique. Because running is a repetitive motion, it is difficult to decide where in the cycle to begin making an analysis. Each movement that takes place is always the result of the preceding movement. Nevertheless, there are a number of moments or characteristic phases that can be specified during the cyclic pattern of running. Classification in phases is derived as closely as possible from what is functioning during the cycle. Thus, there is that first moment of contact when the entire weight of the body comes to rest upon the support leg. This occurs a fraction later than the first moment when the foot touches the ground. Functionally speaking, the most important moment is when the full weight of the body is resting on the support leg. The last moment of the support phase occurs when the foot of the stance leg is released from the surface. The entire running cycle can be divided between the stance phase as long as the foot is on the ground and the floating phase, where important movements take place that will have a decisive influence on the motion of running. When the technique is good, the floating phase will last somewhat longer than the stance phase. The running technique will function less efficiently if the floating phase is short and ground contact long. The stance phase can be further subdivided into two phases characterized by whether the heel is still on or has been removed from the ground surface. During the first part, how the hamstrings work is important, and during the second part, the speed at which the knee stretches becomes important. The floating phase can be further divided into two phases. During the first, the hamstrings will be loaded with elastic energy, while during the second part, the legs will execute their scissor-like motion. Here, the running cycle is classified according to function because it is based on the most important biomechanical mechanisms that play a role